Alright, we're checking out this new VIFLY charger. It's called the ToothStor, and this is mainly for these new BT 3.0 batteries. I did a video on these new beta FPV BT 3.0 batteries and connectors in a previous video, but this is what the connector looks like, and these are 2S batteries, not 1S batteries. So I did a video a while back on their ToothStor, which is very similar to this one. This will work very similarly, but it's for this connector and 2S batteries, but it will also work for general 2S batteries that have the, I guess they're calling it the XH 2.54 connector, which is this right here. That's what it looks like. It's basically the balance lead on a 2S Lipo, and that's what those connectors are there. So, quick look at the box here. Obviously, this is USB, their power delivery, does storage charge function, and here are some of the specs on the back. There's a XT60 DC connector and USB-C. The voltage range is 10 volts to 26 volts. Minimum input power is 65 watts. And you have a max charging current of 1.5 amps per port. I think the max discharge is lower. There's a 0.2 amps per port. So similar to the ToothStor in many aspects here, and does high volt and regular lipos as well. Alright, so a quick look at what you get in the box. You get some instructions, and we'll cover the way this works here in the video. But if you want to pause the video and just for your own information, if you want to read what's on here, just go ahead and pause the video. You're going to get a USB-C cable for charging, of course, and here's what the charger looks like. There's the DC barrel port and XT60, and you have your USB-C power delivery. It looks very similar to the ToothStor. You got your exhaust fan there, your BT 3.0 port, and the XH 2.54 balance lead, and then they're labeled 1, 2, 3, and 4. These are connected, so you can't put like two different batteries in here. They are electrically connected. You're going to probably fry something, so don't put in two, just use one or the other. But you can, of course, plug in up to 4. And I think you can mix and match the types, but you can't mix and match types on the same port. So just don't make that mistake. And then you have a nice little OLED screen here so that gets color, and then you get a stop button and an on-off button here to probably change your settings. This ToothStor, one of the original ToothStor, and then I guess their version 2 or version 3 of the ToothStor has evolved with this nice plastic case now. Looks pretty nice. And then again, I think all the specs that are in the back of the box are also relisted here on the bottom. Alright, so I'm going to power this up here. This is plugged into a USB-C power delivery source. I think it's 100 watts, so this is more than enough. Go ahead and turn it on. And we're in firmware version 1.0. And here's a look at the interface here. So it has a 20 volts input voltage coming in. We have the 4 different ports there. And you can see that each port has the voltage for each cell, since this is a 2-cell charger. And then you'll have our voltage and amperage here. So let's go ahead and do a quick test charge. So we'll use this beta FPV it's the 450 milliamp hour 2S Lipo with the BT 3.0 connector, and we'll just go ahead and plug it in, and then that will populate the data here. So we have 7.82 volts on this battery, 3.91 volts per cell. Okay, so in order to change your settings, you have to pay attention to what these labels are underneath the buttons. So the black ones are for short presses. So for this button, a short press is changing your voltage, and then the red is a long press. So a long press will turn on and off the whatever setting you're trying to change, and then the current is over here, so you can change your current here, and then long press is for starting stops. So let's see here, if I short press this, and it's changing the current there. Is this gonna be across all 4 ports? So I think it goes up to 1, let's see how far it goes up to, 1.3. Okay, so 1.4, 1.5, and then it goes back to 0.2. So 1.5 is the most current you can put into the battery. And then the voltage here, So we have 4.2, 4.35, 3.8, 3.85. So those are the 4 different target voltage settings. So for example, if I want to put this into storage charge, I think this is a high volt. So I want to set it to 3.85. So that'll bring the voltage down there from 3.91. And I set the current to 0.2. This works pretty much the same as the ToothStor if you're wondering. Then long press start and stop, that'll start the basically a storage charge. It'll actually start reducing that voltage down to the target of 3.85. And this long press again to stop. So if I want to fully charge this high volt to 4.35 at that current, we'll go ahead and then long press the start stop. Here we go, and now we should be charging at that current rate, and the voltage should be climbing at this point. So the beep on off over here on this one turns the beeper on and off. So you can see there it went to a little mute button. So if you don't want to, so for example, the beeping you heard when I was starting and stopping the charging, that should now be turned off. Yeah, so there we go. So you see that we're charging now, but that beep didn't come on. So if you want to turn that beep on and off, you just long press this button here. That'll turn that beep on and off. Alright, so this is another 2S Lipo with just a balance lead connector. We'll go ahead and plug that in here in the same port. And let's see how this works over here. So this is at 7.71 volts and 3.86 and 3.85 volts per cell. Let's go ahead and this is a bigger battery, so I'll bump it all the way up to 1.5 amps. And we're going to, this is a regular LiPo, so we'll charge this to 4.2 and then long press this, and there we go. And you can see here we're charging at 1.5 amps on this one port. And again, this will be across all of the ports here. So I'm kind of wondering if I plug in another battery into one of the other empty ports, it's probably going to start charging. I bet these are active. So let me just see what happens if we plug in this other battery here on this port here. Yep, you can see this is now charging at that rate. So probably a little too high for this one, so I pulled that out there. So it looks like you can just pull the battery out and it'll stop charging. You know, obviously, the ports are still active. So yeah, I'm not sure how safe or not safe that is, but I guess you can just, if you wanted to stop charging, just yank it out of there. And then you know, obviously you want to hit the start stop button to deactivate the port so that it's not actually electrically active. But you can see this one is still going up 3.96 slowly. And then, okay, there's a little indicator of how many milliamp hours have gone in, 23 milliamp hours into that battery. And let's go ahead and stop this. So with this balance lead connector, we can use an adapter to charge 1S Lipos. So in this example here, I have this little harness that goes to this, I guess this is a PH 2.0 to BT 2.0 connector. And I'm going to plug in two BT 2.0 Lipos. So these are the new Beta FPV Lava Lipos. So this just basically then looks like a 2S Lipo to the charger. And you can see here we are at 3.82 and 3.83 for each cell. And let's just charge these at 1C, so that'd be 0.3 amps. And this is a high volt, so 4.35 volts. And we'll go ahead and start. And now we're charging these two 1S Lipos on this 2S charger. So this is another way you can use this. And again, you can mix and match different batteries, but just keep in mind that the whatever current value and voltage value set is going to be duplicated across all 4 ports. So you probably want to be using Lipos that are similar in size, not a wide ranging of Lipos, because then some will be charging at a faster rate than they should be and some slower than they should be. So just something to keep in mind. And yeah, we can see that the voltage is slowly increasing, 3.87, 3.88, and 2 milliamp hours have gone in there. So works very much like the ToothStor. I guess if you are going to be going to these BT 3.0 batteries, but you still have a lot of these BT 2.0 batteries, the 1S batteries. You can charge up to 8 of these with these harnesses. So you have to, obviously this is one way to make a harness. So you have this XH connector there that goes to the splitter, and then you have basically two 1S Lipos in series. It looks like a 2S Lipo, and that's how you can charge these up. So you could charge up 8 of these if you have the harnesses for the 1S Lipos. So if you don't have the ToothStor, and you want to get this for your 2S Lipos, and you want to also charge your 1S Lipos, this is one way you can go for that, do that method. And again, you know, these BT 3.0 batteries aren't for everybody. These aren't widely available, so there's some of these from BetaFV. There's, I think, a 300 milliamp hour 2S and a 450 milliamp hour 2S from TinyWhoop that also have these BT 3.0 batteries, or the connectors. And the, you know, for those of you that are wondering who this is going to be for, these batteries, they're not going to be for everybody. If you're doing things that need a lot of current or a lot of high power draw, this connector has a limitation. I think it's 15 amps. So you probably want to stick to an XT30 connector, or even an XT60 connector for those high power draw drones or whatever you're going to be using the batteries for. So this is obviously a specialty connector, but obviously this can be used for not just for these BT 3.0 batteries, but it can be used for just in any 2S Lipo in general that has the balance lead, and pretty much any size can be charged by this. So it is pretty versatile, and in this setup here you can also charge 1S Lipos, as I've just shown earlier in the video. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. Link will be down in the video description if you guys want to check it out, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.